Alright boys, welcome back to the round 6 review for AFL Fantasy. Fucking solid score this week, a great effort from my boys. We scored 2,302, so I'm really happy with that effort. It was a really high scoring round, there were plenty of 150 plus scores and massive from my captain Jack Mcrae, and I'll talk about that as I go through my team. But yeah, a really solid score. We've held our ranking of 1, and I think the lead between me and the second position is about 110 points, so we've got a fair lead, which is pretty good. Before I get into the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you are new, and comment down your score below, as well as any questions that you may have. But let's get into it. Like I said, we scored 2,302, so fucking amazing score. Team value is at 15.38 mil. Actually, I think it's at around 16 mil. I think that's wrong. Yeah, so it's at 16 mil. So that's a bit of a misunderstanding. So it's at 16 million. Round 6 ranking of 113. So we've had back-to-back rounds now where we've gone in the top 150, which is really good. So as long as we can maintain this, and if we can consistently come top 1,000 every rank, we should definitely hold the number 1 spot. And like I said, we are first still, so we're holding that spot, and we do have a fair chunk of a lead, I think. Yeah, so this is me. 2,302 we scored, 12,492, and second place is 12,383, so it's about a 110 point lead, which is solid. So like I said, if we can keep on, scoring high every week and coming top 1,000 for the week, we should definitely hold that number 1 spot. So I'm really happy with how my team's looking like at the moment. Team value is really good. We're making a lot of coin, which is good. And I'm really happy with the rolling lockout as well. It's really helping me out. And as I talk about my team this week, I'll talk about how the rolling lockout helped me, and yeah, it's a massive advantage for me. But let's get into my team now. Isaac Cumming, D1, 102, looked really good. Taking kickouts for Giants. Him and Lockie Ash, I think it is. They were both taking kickouts, so they both look pretty good. So Cumming is amazing, 102. I think it's its highest score for the season. My only concern is Lockie Whitfield coming back in soon. Maybe that affects his scoring, who knows. But he's been really solid. Tom Stewart, 101. Standard stuff from Stewart. Not too sure whether he's a top 6 forward, but he's been great in his last 3 games, so he's getting the job done. Markov with the 64. That's an alright score. It's not great, but he's scoring 60 plus consistently, so that's fine. Bit of a roller coaster. Doherty, 126. He scored the most in my defense this week, so he looked really good. Rory Laird, 109. Like I said in previous videos, he's the number 1 midfielder for the Crows, so he should score 100 week in, week out, and he looks like a really good player. Potentially number 1 defender this year, if not number 2, I would say. And then we loopholed Cozzy, so I'll talk about the rolling lockout. And what we had was Bergman on field, but then when Cozzy managed to score that 101, we decided to field Highmore, who wasn't playing and wasn't named as the medical sub, and we took Cozzy's score of 101, so the rolling lockout really did favour us this round, so I'm really happy with that. And Bergman wasn't too bad, so we would have lost about 30 points if the rolling lockout wasn't a thing, but I'm really happy that it's going through, and Cozzy was massive with 101. Keep in mind, he's not going to do this every week, so he's definitely still a bench player. Bergman, 71. He's safe to field, so we'll field him this week. Not too sure what his job security is looking like. Didn't really watch the game, but he looks like a great player, and he's playing off halfback, so he looks good. So defense overall, I'm pretty happy with. Everyone timed up apart from Markov, so that's pretty solid. Midfield is pretty poor this week. Mcrae as captain worked wonders, 318. So I think he was the second highest scorer of the round, so that's amazing. 318, really good effort, and we'll probably chuck the VC on him this week. He plays Richmond, so he's a certain VC option. Tim Taranto, 104, I'll take that. He's been really good for me. Goulden managed to crack his break even of 54, but his price hasn't gone up or hasn't changed, so he might be one that we look to trade this week. I'll talk about trade plans later on, but he's definitely in my trade plans at the moment. James Jordan, 63. It frustrates me as a coach watching him play, because I watched the game and he played 50% game time, so he wasn't injured, but still plays 50% time on ground and manages to score 63. Imagine what he would be doing if he was given like 80% time on ground. He would be dashing at hundreds. So it's frustrating as a coach watching your players sit on the bench for half the game, but he's still a great player and he's really safe to field. And the way Melbourne are playing at the moment, yeah, it's really tough for him to lose his spot, I reckon. He's a good player, but it's really tough with all these players like Oliver, Petrarca, Viney in the midfield, because he is playing throughout the midfield, so his time on ground will be fairly low, but with Melbourne junking up and getting a lot of fantasy points, I think he's a great player, and he should score 60 every week on your field. Zach Merritt, 125. He was always going to go big against Collingwood, and massive score from him. Good stuff. Mitchell managed to crack the ton at Pig Park, so he looked good. And Lockie Shoal, 61. He's another one that I'm thinking of trading. Him and Markov are absolute roller coasters. One week they're scoring 100, the next they're scoring 60. Lockie Shoal is also a bit scary because he has the potential to score 40, even less. So he's a pretty scary player. You never know what you're going to get from him. Could score a massive 130 like he did in previous weeks, or he could score 20. So he's a bit of a risk player. Finlay Mcrae, 26. That's pretty average. Might get dropped this week, although I think that Roscoe and Rantil are ahead of him in the chopping block, so should be fine. And then, like I said, the rolling lockout really benefited us this round. So we took Robertson's score of 75, fielded Brockman, who didn't play, so we copped that score. Really happy with Robertson's effort, 75. Solid effort from him. He looks good. His job security should be fine for now. Ruckman, Maxi Gorn, 107, pretty solid. Grundy, 124, pretty standard. Set and forget, happy with that. Flynn on the bench was pretty good, 68, so he's making a bit of coin now. Hopefully he doesn't get dropped. GWS did lose, but I'm hoping he can hold his spot or either play with Mumford, because he's still got a fair bit of coin to be made, Matthew Flynn. So if he can get to 500k, that'll be really good. And then my forward line, Dunkley 100. He's injured for majority of the season, I think, so we're gonna have to trade him out this week. Atkins bounced back really well from a poor week last week. Not too sure what he scored last week. I think it was 30 or it was 50. So yeah, he's a poor effort from Atkins last week. So for him to bounce back and score 100 was amazing. So Dunkley and Atkins played really well. Dunkley could have gone 120 plus if he didn't get injured in that last quarter, but a bit unfortunate. I think he popped his shoulder, so he's going to be out for a fair bit. Chad Warner, 93, worked his way into the game. He started off really slow, but managed to get to 93, so I'm really happy with that effort from Warner. We can hold him for a couple more weeks. He's still got a bit of coin to be made, so great pickup. Really happy that I started with him, and he's made a fair bit of coin this season. Tom Powell, 102, was really good. I'm really happy with that effort from Tom Powell. For a rookie to score 100 is amazing, so Tom Powell, props to him. Looked really good. I think he was playing throughout the midfield, so he's got that position locked down now, and he looks really good. Time on ground's fine, and North really liked the ball in his hands, so props to Tom Powell. He's looking like a great pickup. Nick Hind, 94. He was going to be my -3 this week, although he junked up big time in the last quarter, 51 points, so if he hadn't got the 51 points, he would have been on track for 60 maybe, even less. So massive last quarter from Hind, and for anyone to have the ability to score 51 points in a quarter is probably a keeper. He's not a top 6 forward, but he's still got a fair bit of coin to be made, and at the moment we've got other priorities that we need to discuss. So Nick Hind, solid effort, 94, definitely take that. And then rolling lockout, we used it once again. Lazaro didn't play, so we fielded him. Took Ferrara score of 74, which I'm really happy with. Ferrara looks like a really good player. Playing across halfback, taking a lot of marks, not getting many disposals, but the main attribute towards his scoring is probably his +6s and his marking. So he looks really good, Ferrara, and I think he's a safe option to field every week. Rao, 36, his cash generation is probably slowing around now. His break-even will probably be pretty high, so he might be one to look to offload soon to probably like a 170k forward, or maybe a 170k defender. I'll talk about some cheap options later on in the video, but yeah, Rao's cash generation is pretty slow. So that's how we fared for the round. Pretty solid effort. As I said, we brought in Ferrara and Mcrae, and they were both pretty solid. And we traded Campbell and Jones, who weren't playing. Campbell was the medical sub and did play, but just reached his break even, so I don't think he went up in cash, which is fine. But yeah, really solid round. 113 for the round, and we're ranked first, and we have a fair bit of a margin, so that's good. In terms of trades for this week, I'm looking at 2 different options. So this is the first option that I'm considering doing. Josh Dunkley in at 5 and Goulden to Mills. If I do go with these trades, it means that I won't be getting in Zeeble, and I really like Jack Zeeble as an option. Although saying that, he is a bit of a risk. He's injury prone, and North Melbourne love to toss him around in different positions, so he's a bit of a risk. But for someone that scored 170 and a 140 and another 140, averaging 110 plus, he's probably a must-have. He's really good, so I reckon if he does keep that role, he's definitely a top 3 forward with ease. But my only concern is that he might be moved around the ground a bit more, and he's never averaged above 95 plus when he's played different roles. So I'm hoping he can keep that North, halfback role where he's taking the kick-ins. He looks really good, and if he does keep that role, he's definitely a top 3 forward with ease. But at the moment, it's a bit of a risk, so we're going Goulden to Mills, who Goulden has a high break even, so he's been a great cash cow, don't get me wrong. We'll trade him to Mills. Mills look really good. And Dunkley to Fife looked pretty well. I think he tended a fair few centre bounces, playing up forward and in the midfield, so he's good. And then, the other option we could do this week would be Josh Dunkley to Jack Zeeble. But keep in mind, if we do this, which I'm really keen to do this because I love Jack Zeeble's ceiling, it means that we can't really trade Goulden. It means we're going to have to trade Scholl to a Callum Mills. So those are the 2 options that I'm looking at for this week. I think Scholl's a bit of a roller coaster, so I also don't really mind this option. Like I said, Scholl's a roller coaster. He scores 100 one week and then 40 the next. So I don't mind this option. Jack Zeeble has a massive ceiling, as we know, but he's just a bit injury prone, a bit of a risk pick. But if it does pay off, it'll be really worthwhile. If we do these trades though, it means Goulden plays Geelong. Geelong are quite a tough team to score against, so it'll be interesting to see how he plays, Goulden. But I'll probably end up going with the first trade and bringing in Nat Fife as well as Mills for Goulden. So that's what we're looking like at the moment. In terms of rookies, there are a fair few rookies that we could pick up this week. I think the main one is Frederick. He impressed on the weekend. So he scored a 70 and he's really cheap at the moment, so his job security should be fine. He's priced at 198,000, so his job security should be fine, like I said. And in terms of scoring, I think he averaged 60 in the waffle or something like that, so he looks like a decent cash cow. Another one that impressed me was this guy, Bossman. He looked pretty good, 77. I think he was playing across halfback, I'm not too sure, but he looked fairly decent, and he scored a 77, so he's got plenty of cash to be made. And there was one more, I think he's 300k, so he's not really a rookie, he's sort of mid-price now, but Phil Thorpe really impressed me. He scored a 94, I think he kicked 5 goals, so he's probably one to stay away from considering his price and that he required 5 goals just to get to a 94. But he's a really impressive player, and he's there as an option if you need someone to pick. But like I said, we're probably going to be bringing in Fife or Zeeble this week and trading out either Scholl or Goulden. So that's what our team's looking like at the moment. In terms of captain options for this week, we'll put the VC on Jack Mcrae. Sorry, he plays Richmond. Richmond love to give up a fair few points, and if that doesn't go to plan, we might even back in Jack Zeeble as captain if we do bring him in. If not, we got a fair few options in Brodie Grundy, Maxi Gawn, and Zach Merritt. So there are different options that we can go to this week for captains. But I'm hoping Mcrae can have a big 150 plus game again, and we won't have to worry about who we captain. But that's how my team's looking like at the moment. Really happy with the structure. Might have to start considering what we're going to be doing for the buys in the next couple of videos. But I'm really happy with my team and how it's looking, and I'm looking forward to the Doggies game this week against Richmond. Should be a blast, so looking forward to that. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys next week.